ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः सुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। We are in the 16th chapter now, which is called as Devasura Sampatti Vibhaga Yoga. And here, Bhagwan is stressing more on the Asuri Sampatti. Asuri Sampatti includes the Rakshasi Sampatti also. Here it means those individuals who have a Raga Dvesha Pradhana or Rajoguna Tamoguna Pradhana intellect, because of which the way they think, the way they live their lives, their daily lives are not conducive to moksha. So, this Asuri Sampat, Rakshasi Sampat, which together Bhagwan calls as Asuri Sampat, is something which binds Nibadnati, it is said. He says it in the third verse. In the fifth verse, where he says that this Asuri Sampati binds a person and does not allow such a person to have any kind of a spiritual growth, and moksha is not at all there in his agenda actually. Whereas Daivi Sampatti is the one which is meant for a mumukshu, for a clear understanding of this knowledge to take place. And Vimokshaya, Daivi Prakriti Vimokshaya, Daivi Sampatti Vimokshaya iti, Bhagwan has already talked about it. And here there are a list of things which Bhagwan lists as Asuri Sampatti, starting from Darpa, Damba, Moha, and himsa. So many things are being listed out as Asuri Sampat. But we have to understand one thing, that all of them are not present in all people with Asuri Sampat in the same proportion. Maybe there are some people with Asuri Sampat who are having one or two of them pradhanataha, and the others maybe in the background. And when and at what time and at different situations, different Asuri Sampattis may be predominantly manifesting in a person. So, therefore, here we have to understand that an Asuri Sampat person does not mean that all the time this person has all these Damba, Darpa, Abhimana, Manitvam, all that. It does not mean all of them are there at all the time in total quantity. No, they're all the time fluctuating and wavering, and in different places at different times in different contexts. A person with Asuri Sampatti have one or two of them which are predominantly present. And Bhagwan here decides to explain how a person with Asuri Sampatti lives his life, the day to day, the daily life or the day to day living, the way this Asuri Sampat person, predominantly Rajo Tamo Guna Pradhana, Asuri Sampat oriented person, how actually he thinks, what is his thought process. Because Bhagwan feels that if we know how the thought process of an Asuri Sampat oriented person is, it's much easier for us to look at ourselves and see whether we are having Asuri Sampat Pradhana predisposition of the mind or what. Therefore, Lord Krishna decides to talk about how such a person thinks, how such a person conducts his life, so that it's easy for us to literally see where we stand and benchmark ourselves and see if we can improve upon it. So, up till the 14th verse, last time we did up till the 14th verse, where we saw the different, thought processes of a person with Asuri Sampat, that he is bound by Asha Pashaihi Shataihi Baddhaha, and this person is willing to do anything to fulfill his desires, to fulfill his karmas. And then he does not bother whether his fulfillment of his karmas is disturbing other people. He does not mind getting rid of people who come in his way. He does not mind taking care of the obstacles in his way of fulfilling his karmas, whatever it may take for him to do. Himsa may be there, adharma may be there, anything may be there where this person is willing at any cost, using any adharmic means, to get rid of any obstacle which comes in the way of his attaining or fulfilling his hundreds of unfulfilled karmas. And now the same thing, his thought process continues. Now we'll go to the 15th verse of the 16th chapter. What does he think? It continues now. आढ्योऽभिजनवानस्मि कोऽन्योऽस्ति सदृशो मया यक्ष्ये दास्यामि मोदिष्य इत्यज्ञानविमोहिताः. Again, another way of thinking of this person. Manitvam, Dambhitvam, same those two, how they manifest in his thinking pattern. Now he says, Adhyosmi, I am a Dhanavan. I have lot of resources. I am full of resources. And Abhijanavanasmi. Abhijanavanasmi means Adhyaha Abhijanavanasmi. I belong to a great Kula. I belong to a Vamsha which is a very famous or a very great Kula or Vamsha. Always trying to show off that whatever he may be, it doesn't matter. Oh, my father was this, my grandfather was this. Always trying to drop names from his Vamsha, trying to show off with Damba that he belongs to a very, very prestigious Kula or Vamsha, and showing off both, Manitva wise, Dambitva wise, Ahankara wise, showing off at the level of the body, at the level of the speech, at the level of the mind, also trying to show off that he is full of resources. And Ko Anyo Asti Sadrisho Maya, there is nobody like me. I am the greatest. I am the one who has everything. See how I have come up. See how I have attained all these things. Who's there like me? I have achieved so many things, attained so many things. This kind of an arrogance, darpa and abhimana, ahankara, which is expressed at every level, every time, who is there, making another person feel very small. All the time trying to talk about himself, making another people very small. And his thought process is that who is equal to me? Nobody is equal to me. I am the greatest. And yakshye dasyami modisha, I can do any kind of a Vaidika karma. I can do any kind of a yaga, yajna. Who can stop me? I can spend any amount of money and I can do any of these kind of whatever is told in the Vedas. I can do any of these yajnas any number of times, and I can also give any kind of a danam which is supposed to be given. This is not done out of any kind of a shraddha in the Shastra, but it is done with that kind of an ahankara. I can do any kind of a karma. I can do any yaga, however big it may be, and I can give anything. and other people are dependent upon me. I can give whatever is necessary. I can give any kind of a dana, and that kind of a who is equal to me. Yakshye means in a yajna or in a Vedika karma, dasyami modisha. I'm capable of doing any kind of a Vaidika karma and also give whatever is necessary there. Iti ajnana vimohitaha. Such people are actually confused and deluded by ajnana. They don't understand that how they have actually attained all these things. And even for them to have something which they are able to really share with the community outside, it is Ishvara Kripa. They do not understand it. It is me. I have attained it. I deserve it, and at the same time, I can do anything. This kind of a self glorification is the thought process of a person with Asuri Sampatti. And next in the 16th verse, Bhagwan says, Aneka chitta vibhrantaha mohajala samavritaha prasakta kama bhogeshu patanti narakeshu chau. So, aneka chitta vibhrantaha, vibhranta chittaha, anekaihi chittaihi vibhrantaha. That means what? All the time caught in that web of fulfilling their desires. All the time caught in the web of never ending desires, never ending kamas. I want this, I want that, I must do this, I must do that. Never ending jala. Jala in the sense in the net, literally getting caught in a net of their own desires, their own thought, because one desire begets the other. They fulfill one desire, that is not sufficient. They want more and more, more and more, and so they get caught in this kind of a jala, in their own confusion. Aneka chitta vibrantaha, all the time various desires, demands of the mind, pulling them in various directions. Aneka chitta vibrantaha moha jala samavritaha. It is they are caught in their own web of delusion and confusion. Most often, oh, I can do it. It doesn't matter. I can achieve anything I want. I can do whatever I want. This kind of an arrogance, a false sense of pride, a false sense of power in themselves, own vicious thinking about what they can do and what they can achieve. And then what does it make them do? Prasaktaha kama bhogeshu. Their entire life, their entire day is only in planning how to achieve, how to fulfill my desires. Prasaktaha kama bhogeshu. Bhoga, enjoying, fulfilling their kamas, whatever they may be. Is it worth? Is it worth my fulfilling this desire? Is this desire good for my own personal spiritual growth? No such thoughts, no such ideas at all. Is this fulfillment of my desire going to cause any kind of a problem to other people around me? No such thoughts at all. Therefore, aneka chitta vibrantaha prasaktaha, all the time only committed to fulfilling their raga dveshas, patanti narake ashuchau. Here Bhagwan says they literally fall into a hell like situation. Now whether the hell is there or not, we don't know, but our Vedas say that. Therefore we have Shraddha. There are certain lokas, dukkhamaya lokas, those lokas in which there is a lot of dukkha being experienced by the jiva, and such lokas are called naraka. And Bhagwan Shankaracharya here says patanti narake ashuchau Vaitaranyadav. We have heard of that. Vaitarani is one of the Narakas. So many names are given for Naraka by in our Shastras. What it means is that such people here also and hereafter also, while living also, it's not as if fulfilling their desires is keeping them happy. They're all the more unhappy. Dukkhamaya situations. They land themselves up in more dukkha situations than sukha. And even in the life hereafter, they literally fall into those dukkhamaya lokas, lower lokas, where they have absolutely no chance of any kind of a desire for a spiritual growth at all. So they fall into ashuchau narake, dukkha rupi situation, dukkha rupi, dukkha loke, in kind of a loka or in any situation here and hereafter, which is full of dukkha. They fall into such situations. Then in the next verse, the same thing continues. आत्मसम्भाविता स्तब्धाः धनमानमदान्विताः यजन्ते नाम यज्ञैस्ते दम्भेनाविधिपूर्वकम्. So, Atmasambhavitaha, they look upon themselves as very great. They look upon themselves as those with virtue. Sarva guna sampannaha. I am a sarva guna sampanna. I am of an angelic nature. I am godlike. Like, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and other people who thought of themselves to be nothing but Ishvara only. I am Ishvara. You don't have to worship Ishvara. You worship me. That is enough. Because I am the Sarva Guna Sampanna and Atma Sambhavitaha. A pride in themselves, and they look upon themselves as, the very angels of virtue, or as the very manifestations of all virtue. And Stabdaha. Stabdaha means there is no Vinaya, no humility. Avinayaha or Stabdaha means here there is no humility. They are very arrogant. Even when they are in front of people who are elders and who really deserve respect, in front of such people also, these people have no Vinaya because they think that they are very, very great, and then nobody is equal to them according to them. Dhanamana madanvitaha. They feel that their money, their power, their mana, that is dhana, mana, mada, the arrogance of dhana and mana, the arrogance, that darpa, what was called as darpa or arrogance, where oh, I have attained so much, I have achieved so much. At the same time, mana, everybody should respect me, everybody should touch my feet, everybody should be folding their hands in front of me, they should address me like this kind of a demand for respect from others, just because the person feels that he is having dhanam and mana, and that mada is there. Dhanamada, Manamada. Darpa, in other words, what was described as arrogance. Dhana Mana Madanvitaha. Yajante Nama Yajnahi. And they are the ones who are willing to really do all kinds of yagas, yajnas for namesake. Nama Yajnahi here means namesake yajnas, just to show off, just out of dambha, just to show off, look, whatever I am doing, see how much I'm spending on these things, how much dana I am giving. So this kind of a show off or dambhitvam, to show themselves off, nama yagnaihi means nama matra yagnaihi, just for the namesake, they do all kinds of Vedapurva Vihita yajnas also. But there is no Shraddha in that. There is no Shraddha. What is there then? Avidhi Purvakam. They don't do any of these Vaidika karmas or yagas or yajnas or worship out of vidhi. They do not follow the Veda vidhi. What do they do? Dambhena avidhi purvakam. Avidhi purvakam. Their purpose is only to show off, not really to do what the Vedas are asking us to do. So dambhena avidhi purvakam. They do all these kind of yajnas that they are doing. Basically only to show off. That later on in the 17th chapter, Bhagwan calls such worships and such yajnas as tamasa yajnas. Those who do such tamasa and rajasa yajnas, they are called. When in 17th chapter he talks about yajna, dana, tapas, in that he says these kind of yajnas which are done for the sake of harming others are tamasa yajnas. Those yajnas which are done just to show off one's wealth and just to show off one's power, and done without any kind of a care for what the Vedas are asking us to do, avidhi purvakam yajante nama yagnaihi, nama matra, for the sake of doing something, for the sake of saying, see, I am doing so many. They want to project themselves as very, very spiritual, and religious people, but their actions completely give them up. Then in the next verse, the similar thing is talked about. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham cha samshritaha mamatma paradeheshu pradvishantobhyasuyakaha. Again, their nature. The nature of these people with Asuri Sampatti, their thought process, how their lifestyles are. This is being talked again and again repeatedly by Bhagwan from various angles, only to make us understand and make us look into ourselves and see if there are any such tendencies in us, what we can do about them. So the same things, the similar things are being talked about from different viewpoints here again. So he says, Ahankaram. Ahankaram samshritaha. For every word, we have to add this samshrita. That means those who are associated with or those who are full of samshritaha. Those who have the ashraya, those who hold on to, they are called as the samshritaha. So ahankaram samshritaha, balam samshritaha, darpam samshritaha, kamam krodhancha samshritaha. That means those who hold on to what? Ahankaram. Ahankara means all the time aham, aham iti, I iti. Expressing it verbally, that is called as ahankara. Manitvam is swatmani pujatva bhavam, where there is an expectation of respect from others mentally. Damba is at the body language level, at the level of the body, the person shows off his manitvam. Whereas ahankara is all the time by speech, I have done this, I have done that, I did this, I did that, I would like to do this, I would like, all the time trying to talk about me, me, I, me, I, me. So that is what is called as ahankaram samshritaha, those who hold on to ahankara. In any conversation, such people, they literally kind of seize the conversation and then they only talk about themselves. They don't give any chance for other people to talk anything at all. We see such people, publicly also, and we see such people in our own families also. We such people all the time trying to dominate the conversation with ahankara, mamakara. Balam, darpam, kamam, krodham cha ashita. Balam, showing off their bala. That balam, what kind of a balam is it? What kind of a power is it? It doesn't matter. I have got this much power to do what I want. I have got the power to destroy somebody who comes in my way. Balam, darpam, arrogance, samshritaha, those who hold on to arrogance. And of course, they are only because of kamam, krodham. I can get whatever I desire. I don't have to bother. I don't have to ask anybody. I can get what I want. Kamam, krodham. And if anybody comes in the way of my fulfilling my kama, my krodha can go to any level. So, kamam, krodham, darpam, balam, ahankarancha samsitaha, mam, atma, paradeheshu. They don't see me, Ishvara, in themselves also and in other people also. They don't see, they don't understand that there is this consciousness, Ishvara within me, in this body. It is the same Ishvara in the other people also, in all the other jivas also. They do not see me in either themselves or in the other jivas around them. And pradvishanto abhyasuyakaha, Abhi asuyakaha. All the time they find fault with people who are trying to lead their lives in a dharmic manner. Any person who is living life in a simple manner, in a dharmic manner, not hurting others, they will try to always find fault with such people. Asuya, abhyasuya kaha, guneshu dosha darshanam. They can't stand people with good qualities. Somewhere probably it pricks them to see that they understand that they are very different from them, and therefore they are always trying to find fault with those who are trying to live a right way of life, those who are living a dharmic way of life, and they hate such people. And not only that, they go out of the way to go against my laws, Ishvara's laws. Pradvishantaha means those who hate me. They don't consider me, Ishvara, in themselves or in others. And they go to every extent to literally go against the laws of Ishvara, that is me. Whatever their actions are, totally are against the law of dharma and the law of karma, which is nothing but my law. Therefore, pradvishantaha abhyasuyakaha. And then in the next verse, what happens to such people? What is the fate of such people? As Ishvara, what do I do? Do I just tolerate them? Or how do I deal with them? That's what Bhagwan is trying to say in the next verse. Tanaham dvishatah kruran samsareshu naradhaman kshipamya jasrama shubhan asurishveva yonishu. They may do all these things totally driven by kama, raga, dvesha. But then I am there as Ishvara in the form of law of dharma and law of karma. And I, as Ishvara, will not allow them to go on doing like this forever. Maybe for some time they can just jump around in their own darpa and abhimana and ahankara. But what happens to them? Tan aham dvishitaha Kruran, those people who are the himsakas, those who are actually causing a lot of harm and they are causing himsa to others. Such cruel people, Kruran, Dvishitaha, those who go against my laws, they hate my laws, they hate means they don't even see me in themselves and others. And all that they do is going against the laws of Ishvara, the very laws of nature, the very laws of dharma, the very laws of karma. So, such people, such cruel and people, such Asuri Sampat people who are all the time violating my laws, Ishvara's laws. Who are they? Naradhamas, Nara Adhamas. They are the lowest of the creatures who are only hurting and harming others. Those are hurting and harming my laws, which keep the whole universe going in a very systematic order. They try to interfere with my laws, that is the law of karma and law of dharma, and they go against the Vedas, which is also me, and therefore such Nara Adhamas, that the lowliest, the lowest of the human being, such people, what do I do? He says, Kshipami, okay, aham ajasram ashubhan asurishu yeva yonishu. I, Ishvara, push them into asuri yonis, lower lokas, dukkhamaya lokas, narakeshu ashuchau we saw in the 16th verse. So I push them. That means what? Bhagwan here is saying, I push them. It is not out of choice. Bhagwan is the karma phala data. Bhagwan, Ishvara, Bhagwan or Ishvara, Krishna here is talking, Lord Krishna is talking here as Ishvara. And what is Ishvara? Law of karma. By the very law of karma, people who violate this law of dharma and karma, Ishvara doesn't have to do anything. The very violation of the law itself pushes them into lower yonis, dukkhamaya lokas. So when Bhagwan says, Kshipami, Ajastram eva, very soon I will, as the karma phala data, according to their karmas and their karma phalas, such cruel and nara adhamas, I push them into lower yonis, lower births. They may be born as animals, they may be born as thavaras, in which they really suffer a lot of dukkha as a karma phala. That which they have caused by their free will, abuse of free will. It is nothing but abuse of free will. You know, we are given a free will. The Vedas are there, they are telling us as a human being what is ideal for you. What is the Purushartha that you have? Purusharthas have been given to us and a free will has been given to us. Why? Because we can really discriminate between the Purusharthas and choose the right Purusharthas of Dharma and Moksha. And use, of course, Artha Kama Purusharthas. The Purusharthas are there because it is necessary. Dharma, Artha Purushartha, Kama Purushartha are necessary, but let the Kama and Artha Purusharthas be under dharma, and let my ultimate purushartha nishchaya be that of moksha. And such people, when an asuri sampat person does not use the free will that is given to him for dharma and moksha purushartha, but wastes his life on arthakama purusharthas in violating the laws of Ishvara, for such violators, for people who have abused their free will only to abuse others, kaika, vachika, and manasikataya, to abuse others and cause harm to the entire creation around them, such people, I push them, kshipami, or I throw them into lower lokas. This is only a figurative one. It's a figure of speech to say that I push them, but their own deeds, you know, they beget that kind of a karma phala which pushes them into such lower lokas. Then what happens to them with when they get into such lower yonis or lower lokas or asuri lokas? It again perpetuates the whole cycle again and again and again. So in the 20th verse, Bhagwan says, आसुरीं योनिमापन्नाः मूढा जन्मनि जन्मनि मामप्राप्यैव कौन्तेय ततो यान्त्यधमां गतिम्. So what happens to such people? I have pushed them as karma phala data. I have given them what they deserve. Whatever karma phala they have acquired by their, asuri karmas, according to their karma phala gets them the birth in very, very lower and dukkha janaka yonis. Yonis means in lokas, dukkha yoni, as plants or as animals or even as in human bodies also, where you find people all the time suffering everything. There is absolutely no moments, very few moments of happiness or hope, but from birth to death you find sometimes people literally born to suffer. What is all this? It is just that abuse of free will in some life somewhere, where the person has to now experience this kind of a problem of dukkha. So asurim yonim apannaha, having attained these lower lokas, moodhaha, these people with asuri sampat who are moodhaha, who are deluded, janmani, janmani, again and again and again and again, they come back into similar life cycles. They come back into similar situation. Unless there is some great punya of some life which is waiting and manifests as prarabdha karma, where in a particular body this person has the potential to get out of this asuri sampat and get into dharma and moksha purushartha. Otherwise, they keep coming back again and again. Janmani, Janmani, Moodaha, Asurim Yonim Apannaha, again and again getting into similar asuri universe. Mam aprapya eva kaunteya, they never reach me, they never get me. Like, there is no bhakti, there is no surrender, there is no chitta shuddhi, there's no question of a jignasa in knowing me, there's no question of any kind of a desire for a spiritual upliftment in such a person. So mam aprapya eva, every life is wasted. They go again back into similar asuri yonis without attaining me. Mam aprapya eva he kaunteya tatho yanti adhamam gatim. Gati, adhamam gati means there is absolutely no upward or spiritual upward growth at all. Adhamam gatim yanti. They go down and down and down and absolutely into the lowest rung of, the mind, the lowest rung of probably the creation, where there is nothing but dukkha alone and nothing else is there. So this is the fate of all these people who are not aware that they are having these asuri sampat. Unfortunately, when this awareness that I am having this kind of asuri or rakshasi sampat is not there, These negative, what we call as Asuri Sampatti, goes on perpetuating the other Asuri Sampattis. And it goes on worsening and worsening, and they go into a negative cycle of Asuri karmas and Asuri karma phalas again and again. Now, Bhagwan wants to, in the next verse, say, look, you don't have to worry about so many things which I've, you know, listed as Asuri Sampattis, that you may once in a way feel, my God, I have all these problems. It is not necessary for you to deal with them one by one by one. Okay, ahankara, now, darpa, now, abhimana, and balam, this one, whatever. It is not necessary. Now, Bhagwan wants to simplify the whole thing and tell us that, look, this whole list of Asuri Sampatti and the thought process and the lifestyle of an Asuri Sampatti person I have talked about can be condensed into three states, or into three stages, or into three things. If you take care of these three, then you have taken care of the Asuri Sampatti. You don't have to worry about dealing with each and every Asuri Sampatti, but then understand that this entire spectrum of the Asuri Sampatti, which I have described so far, Lord Krishna says, come under, and they can be classified into only three groups, or only into three things. And if these three things are understood properly, and if these things are, if a person tries to deal with them, then the Asuri Sampat automatically gets dealt with. And what are they? त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं द्वारं नाशनमात्मनः कामः क्रोधस्तथा लोभः तस्मादेतत्त्रयं त्यजेत्. This whole spectrum of Asuri Sampat which I talked about, Arjuna, can be condensed into only three things. What are they? Trividham, three things or three ways, which are what? Narakasya dwaram. These are the three paths. Dukkha dwaram. Naraka means again dukkha. There are only three things in which the entire Asuri Sampatti can be condensed or summarized. And these three are the right royal margas, Raja margas for dukkha or naraka. And what are they? Kamaha, Krodhaha, Lobhaha. It is these three things which make a person, have any of the permutation combinations of any of these listed so far. Kama, all the time desiring things. Now, whether that kama by itself is not bad. That's Bhagwan is not saying that one should not have kama. A shubha kama or a daivi kama definitely will help a person to, like, go upwards in the spiritual ladder. For example, a jignasu bhakta. I want to know what Ishvara is. It is a kama, isn't it? I want to study the Vedas. Isn't it a kama? Yes. I want to study Vedanta. I want to understand myself what I am. I want to see what this Mahavakya is being talked about. This is also a desire. It's a Shubha Kama. After all, if Bhagwan Krishna had to teach this in the battlefield to Arjuna, this Jnanam, did Bhagwan not have the desire that it should be understood by Arjuna? Why did he do that? Hey Arjuna, you are my Sakha, you are Priya. I want you, I want Shreyas for you. I desire Shreyas for you. Bhagwan Krishna also desired. Bhagwan Shankaracharya has written bhashyas on all the 10 Upanishads and also on Brahma Sutras and so many Prakarana Granthas, Stotras, Shlokas. Why? Is it something which he wrote just like that? Did he not have the desire that, yes, my writing the Bhashya will make Upanishads easier for a mumukshu to understand? My Bhashya of Brahma Sutra will make it easier for a mumukshu to understand. It will make it easier for a teacher to teach and for a shishya to understand. So, did Shankaracharya Bhagavan not have the desire in writing this? Did Vyasacharya Bhagavan not have a desire in writing 18 Puranas and also Bhagavad Gita? Why should he have done that? And Brahma Sutras? That means Desires are very necessary for continuing to, for every jiva. Desire is absolutely necessary. But when the desire becomes a desire of Asuri Sampat, when the Shubha Kamas are gone and Ashubha Kamas, propelled by Raga Dveshas and propelled by Rajoguna Tamoguna, propelled by Rakshasi and Asuri Sampati, that is where the problem is. Therefore, let me first see whether my Kama is a Shubha Kama or a Shubha Kama. And if my kamas are Ashubha, then I have to work on them to see that my desires become more of Shubha Kamas. And what is the most important thing that I can do to manage my kamas? Karma Yoga. Already Bhagwan has given Karma Yoga. Doing whatever karma I am doing, Niswarthataya, Nishkamataya, offering it as an offering to the Lord and accepting whatever results come as prasada. I'm dealing with my Asuri kamas here. And when I allow my kamas to be propelled by Ragadveshas and Asuri and Rakshasi Sampattis, what happens? There is Lobha. Desire for more and more and more. Greed. Lobha can mean greed. Lobha can mean desire for more and more. Lobha can also mean not willing to share what I have with others, miserliness. That is also lobha. So when I am propelled by asuri kamas, when I am propelled by these kind of rajoguna, tamoguna, pradhana kamas, then that leads to lobha. Lobha means what? I want everything for myself. I don't want to share anything with others. I want more and more and more of it. Lobha, greed. And greed to such an extent that I am willing to even para dhanam, I am willing to do the apaharana. Whatever belongs to others, I am willing to, out of my ahankara, out of my bala and darpa, I am willing to really snatch things from others because I want to fulfill my desires. There, lobha. So naturally, when kama is not handled, it results in lobha. And when kama unhandled, lobha unhandled, uncontrolled, what happens? Krodha is there. Because every time I can't be successful in fulfilling my desires, even an Asuri Sampat person with all his darpa and bala and everything, do you mean to say an Asuri Sampat person is all the time able to fulfill all his desires? No. Lobha, you mean to say he's able to fulfill or hold on to his lobha? No. So, whatever comes in the way of his attaining, whatever comes in the way of his kama, Asuri kama, and lobha, that becomes an issue of krodha for him. So an uncontrolled and sakama asuri kamas, ashubha kamas, leading to lobha, and kama and lobha together leading to krodha, where a person cannot stand anything which comes in the way of his desires and his greed, and that gives rise to krodha. So he says, all these things which I have dealt with so far, the way a person with Asuri Sampatti behaves and thinks, Arjuna, is only these three things. So if you know how to handle these three things, Kama by way of Karma Yoga, and then keeping the mind, having, inculcating Daivi Sampattis in the form of what was told in the 13th chapter, maturity of the mind, kama is handled and lobha is handled. And krodha, of course, naturally, without the other two, krodha cannot be that strong. And what happens in these people is this continuous kama, krodha, lobha cycle going again and again in this cyclic manner makes the samskaras of kama, krodha, and lobha so deep and so strong that every action of theirs is propelled by kama, krodha, and lobha. And because of the strong vasanas and samskaras and impressions of this unfulfilled kama, krodha, and lobha, they are pushed further and further and further down into dukkha bharita lokas, or into asuri yonis. Therefore, tasmat yetatrayam tyajet. Tyajet means what? May you learn to handle them. See, there is no human being without kama, without krodha, without lobha. Every one of us have a little bit of all these three. But then Tyajet means it is not possible for a jiva to completely get rid of kama, to completely get rid of lobha and moha and your krodha, because they are the gunas, or they are the attributes of the mind, and every human mind is going to have them to some extent. But Tyajet here means, Arjuna, may you learn to handle them. You be the master of the raga and kama, krodha, and lobha. Don't let kama, krodha, and lobha be your masters. When you are the masters of your kama, krodha, and lobha, then you are a person who can inculcate Daivi Sampatti and opt for, naturally, you will opt for Dharma and Moksha Purushartha. But when you allow the Kama, Krodha, and also Lobha to hold on to you, and when you allow them to dominate your intellect, then there is no question of dharma and moksha purushartha. It is purely artha kama purushartha, and stronger and stronger artha kama, stronger and stronger, you know, vasanas and impressions of kama, krodha, lobha, and going back into adhogati, adhamam gatim yanti. That is what Bhagwan said. So think of these three things. Whenever there is a karma, look at yourself and see, is this a Shubha karma or an Ashubha karma? If this is an Ashubha karma, is it a Rajas oriented karma or is it a Tamasic karma? And what can I do about it? Awareness of what kind of a karma it is, where I stand with respect to my own karma, krodha. Is this krodha of mine relevant? Is it appropriate? Is it appropriate to the situation, to the person? Is my lobha really a greed? Is it a small spark of a greed? Or am I willing to go any extent, adharma, to fulfill my lobha? So here these three are the reference points which Lord Krishna gives. You learn to handle them. You have handled all the Asuri Sampatti. Now, in the next, he concludes in the next three verses. Yetair vimuktah kaunteya tvamod तमोद्वारैस्त्रिभिर्नरः आचरत्यात्मनः श्रेयः ततो याति परां गतिम्. The one who has learned to handle these three dwaras of Naraka, these three doorways to Naraka, in the form of Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. What kinds of Kama, Krodha, Lobhas? Asuri, Kama, Krodha, and Lobhas. The one who has learned to handle them, Vimuktaha, Yetaihi Vimuktaha. The one who is freed from the grip of the strong Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, Acharati Atmanaha Shreyaha. He does not destroy himself. No Atma Nashanaha, as he said in the previous verses. There's no question of destroying oneself. A person works that itself, this handling of these three makes a person or helps this person. Acharati Atmanaha Shreyaha. This is meant for the Shreyas or for the good of this person. And what happens to him? Yati Param Gatim. Param Gatim means what? Moksha. Directly moksha, no. Goes through this entire ladder of what? Karma Yoga. Karma Yogena Chitta Shuddhihi. Upasana. Upasana Yogena Chitta Naischalyam. Then get Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhaktya, by surrender to Ishvara, Chitta Vishalata, and imbibing all these Daivi Sampattis, maturity of the mind, then going to Jnana Yoga, exposing one's intellect to Shastra and to the Guru, and ultimately Vedanta Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Rupena, Jnana Yogena, Param Gatim Yati Param Gatim. Then here the Asuri Sampat is over, and in the next verse he says, the last but one, Yashastra vidhim utsrijya vartate kamakaratah na sa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. Arjuna, if you don't know what this Asuri Sampat is, if you don't know, if a person doesn't know what is to be done, what is not to be done, if a person does not know what is dharma and adharma, if a person does not understand what is vidhi and what is nisheda, The Shastra is there to guide you. The Vedas are there to guide you. Therefore, may you be connected to the Shastra. Yaha Shastra Vidim Utsrija Vartate Kamakarataha. When a person tries to completely be away from the Shastra, which all the time guides one, do this, don't do this. This is dharma, this is adharma. If you do this, this is what is going to be. The Shruti, the Smriti, the Puranas, the Itihasas, our entire structure of our scriptures is there to guide us as to what is dharma, what is adharma, what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is to be avoided, what is to be indulged in. All these things are taught. But then a person with an Asuri Sampat is likely to completely ignore these things, the Shastra which guides him. Shastra Vidim Utsrija. They do not follow the Vedas, the Veda Purva, the Shastras, but Vartate Kamakarataha. But they will just behave according to what their desires are, the way they want. Nasa siddhim avapnoti, na sukham na paramgatim. Such people, when the Shastra is available, when you have any kind of a doubt, when the Shastra is there, Vedas are there to guide you, when you do not take refuge in them, when you don't turn to the Shastra and do what you want according to what you think, and take up to all this kama, krodha, lobha, asuri, sampat, then such a person na siddhi mavapnoti, never really gets to me. He never Apnoti means Siddhim Apnoti means he never comes to me, he never comes to moksha at any time. Na Sukham, na Param Gatim. No moksha is possible. Param Gatim means no moksha is possible for such a person. And therefore, the concluding verse, the 24th verse, Lord Krishna says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Vyavasthito Jnatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartumaharhasi. So, Arjuna, Tasmat, therefore, Shastram Pramanam Kritva. May you take refuge, may you take the support of our scripture Shastra with regard to Karya Akarya Vyavastito. Te Karya Akarya Vyavastito. May you take the Veda Purva, the Puranas, as to what is Vidhi to be done, what is Nisheda, what is not to be done, what is Dharma, what is Adharma, what is Karyam, what is Akaryam iti tasmat. Take the Pramana of the Shastra. Let there be Shastra Pramana for that. If you are not able to decide by yourself whether this is, let there be Shastra Pramana. In the Upanishads also it is said, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, in the Shikshavali, when the student leaves the curriculum, the teacher says, when you go out of the curriculum, hey Shishya, you may have certain doubts as to what is to be done, what is not to be done. At such times, try to follow the Shastra, or ask people who know the Shastra, or try to follow those people who are following Shastra. Very clearly, he says in that, if any kind of a vikalpa is there, if any kind of a vichikitsa is there, when there you don't know what is to be done, Shastra is always there. The knowers of Shastra are there for your help. The Guru is there, the Shastra is there. So, karya vyavastitau tasmat shastram pramanam te. For them who want to know what is to be done, what is not to be done, Shastram Pramanam Te. For them, Shastra is the Pramanam. Nyatva Shastra Vidhina Uktam. Having understood, may you know what the Shastra Vidhi says. Shastra Vidhana Uktam. Shastra Vidhana Uktam. Whatever the Shastra is talking about, the Vidhi and Nisheda. To be done, not to be done. Nyatva. Following. Nyatva here means following what the Shastra says, what the Shastrajnas, knowers of Shastra say. Karma kartum iha arhasi. Karma kartum iha. What is to be done? What is the right karma? What is right karma? What is the right amount of karma? What is lobha? What is the right amount of lobha I should have? What is krodha? What is the right amount, appropriateness of krodha that I should have? How I can handle these three trividham dwaram, narakasya dwaram trividham, how I can handle them? The only thing is the Shastra can guide me, and people who know the Shastra can guide me. And this is what Bhagwan talks from what the Upanishads are telling. In most of the Snataka, the Snatakottara, the valedictory advice that is given by the Guru when the Shishya, after having graduated from the Gurukulam, when he leaves the Gurukulam, this is on the most important advice he gives, that when you are in doubt, please take refuge under Shastra, or please take refuge under those people who have taken refuge in Shastra and those who are following that and follow this. And therefore, with this, your Asuri Sampatti and the three main doors to hell or to Naraka, Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, and in turn, all the Asuri Sampatti that has been dealt with by Lord Krishna exclusively as the mindset, as the thought process, or the lifestyle of a person with Rakshasi and Asuri Sampatti. The whole thing, it gives a proper perspective. The Shastra gives a proper perspective in the form of what is Samanya Dharma, what is Vishesha Dharma, what is Apad Dharma. In Samanya conditions, what should be the way I should, conduct myself? In a Vishesha situation, can I apply the same Dharma, or is there something else that can be done? If there is a Apad situation, what can I do? For everything, there is an answer in our Vedas. It is not a kind of a generalization like do this, don't do this. No. For every situation, our Shastra has, yes, this is the thing, Samanyataya. This is what is the, there is, the common thing, the thing that is to be done. But then there are exceptions. The rule is there. But in exceptional situations, what you can do, how you cannot come under the grip of Asuri Sampatti, that also is there in our Shastra. And therefore, hey Arjuna, Nyatva, having taken refuge under the Shastra and the knowers of Shastra, Shastra Vidhana Uktam Karma Kartum Iha, in this world, Arhasi. So now you're going to fight a war, Arjuna. In your situation now, as a Dharma Yuddha, fighting this war against your own cousins and your own relatives, this is a Vishesha kind of a situation, an Apat situation. And here also, what I'm telling you to do to fight this war is what has been talked in the Shastra only. Therefore, may you follow the Shastra and do whatever is a Daivi Sampatti for you, where you can reduce the Asuri Sampatti to a large extent possible. And this last verse becomes a Bija Shloka for a question which comes from Arjuna in the beginning of the next chapter or the 17th chapter. So he talks about the Shastra here. So Arjuna has this verse as a subject for his question in the 17th chapter, first verse, and the entire 17th chapter is an elaboration on the question asked by Arjuna based on this final verse. And with this, the Daivi and Asuri Sampat Vibhaga Yoga is completed. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade दैवासुरी संपत्ति प्राप्ति योगो नाम षोडशोऽध्यायः ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुस्तदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय